G'day, welcome, Early Crow Captain's Run, episode 14. T. Papley out in Japan. He's dropping golf balls out of his pockets on a golf course today. He reckons he shot 36. Please, that'll do me. We need a stewards inquiry in Japan. Pap's out, Phar in. Pete Rat with us as always. PharJack, welcome back, and how are you, man?
Very well, very well. Good to be here. I actually played golf today as well. Smoked them.
So a couple of sneaky double-figure lefties have rorted some people out of some cash today on golf courses on two continents.
Yeah, I wasn't betting today. But Praddy messaged me, actually, before the potty, said, Phar, have you got any good punting stories? And I actually thought I might have told this one, but I don't think I have. I can tell it again anyway. So, couple of disclaimers in this one. First of all, it was March, the weekend of March 19, 2022. So it was my last fight before I got in the UFC. But you boys, I think I've explained to you boys before, I've been on the podcast during a fight week, and by the time I've done a full camp and I'm skinny in the face and I'm down and I've mentally got fully checked into the fight, you almost get to this point where like you're not the same person that you were at the start of the fight camp. Like you're much more quick to anger, like very confident. But anyway, so I was going to Queensland.
You're hungry. Basically, you're just hungry.
Very
probably.
hungry. And I was going to Queensland, and it was my fourth time defending my Australian title. So I was the heir to the throne, essentially, for Australia's next UFC shot. And there'd been this guy, a Brazilian guy, who had been calling me out just relentlessly. He was making memes, calling me a coward, calling me a chicken, all this sort of stuff. And eventually we've agreed to fight, go through the fight camp, and I get to the airport and I'm about to fly to Queensland. And my mate comes up to me and goes, "Did you see that Neds have just released the odds for your fight?" And I'm confident, but I'm shitting you not. I should have been $1.10. Like I should have been $1.10 in this fight. I was just so confident going in. He goes, "Have you seen the odds?" And I go, "Nah, what is it?" And I'm just thinking, oh, they're going to have opened to me $1.15 something. And they go, "You're a $2.90 underdog." And my reaction, I was sitting in the airport and I just got viscerally angry. I felt so disrespected that the bookies would do that, given what I'd done to the people before that. So I went, right, that's it. And I was with my mate who was actually a pretty sharp bettor on the footy. And I said, "What's the best bet this weekend?" And he goes, "Collingwood to beat St Kilda." And that was on the Thursday night or the Friday night. And I said, "All right, sweet. My best bet for the horses this weekend is Zaki in the All-Star Mile." I said, and then my teammate, Joe Luciano, was also fighting on the same night as me, and they'd opened him at $1.90. And $1.90 for him was another ridiculous odds. So I've just been upset. I've done a couple of things. Before we checked in and by the time we boarded, I'd put a multi on, me to win, Zaki to win, Collingwood to win, and my teammate Joseph to win. I'd told all my mates to do it. I'd told my brother to do it, and my mate who was there with me put a massive bet on. Like he put a big bet on that. Anyway, then I'm about to get on the plane and I go, "No, you know what? Like $2.90, this market should be moved by the time this plane touches the ground." So I put a screenshot of the bet that I'd done with those legs on my Instagram and said, "This is a joke that I've been opened at these odds. If you want to make some money, take this bet." And anyway, I'd sort of I had a coffee by this stage, and the plane landed, and it's not a very long flight to the Gold Coast, but by the time we landed, the market had been completely shut by Neds. There was no more betting on the MMA for that weekend. The promoter of the show had sent out a message to everyone saying, he sent out a message in like the group forum that we're all in saying, "Hey guys, I've just had compliance from the wagering company called me, and I understand a few of you put some reasonable bets on yourselves, and one person put an unreasonable bet on themselves that you're not allowed to bet, just to let you know. And I got a message from Ned saying you're not allowed to bet on yourself, so my bet got refunded.
Like gutless stuff.
Gutless.
Classic.
But obviously, I just bought into some stakes of some people who had put on the bet that I'd said myself.
We'll buy and syndicate racehorses. We'll create content about Bossy and Ollie and J-Mac, and yeah, we'll do all that sort of stuff. Don't actually want you to have a proper bet though, please. Fuck.
Yeah, no.
Might be sharp money.
Anyway, so comes in Thursday night. Collingwood win by like 20 points. It's an easy watch, that game. You go watch that fight. My fight, it was one-way traffic for 5 rounds. Just brutal. I should have opened at $1.05, really. And then...
So you took your time with him though.
My teammate Joey went in there, picked this guy up, threw him to the ground, choked him out. That was an easy one. And then I am sitting in Queensland, legs up, watching Zaki come around the turn at Flemington in the All-Star Mile, just going, this is the greatest day ever. And we absolutely rinsed them.
Was that Jamie Carr?
Jamie Carr.
Yeah.
Oh, shit, that was all time.
The $5.3 million All-Star Mile.
It was good. I'm glad you got who you got to. That makes me happy.
Yeah, got him. It was. I've still got the email because I actually got on the app and I sent a help request to Ned's at the time, and I said, "Hey, you've made a mistake. I should be $1.10. Like I should not be $2.90." And I got a generic message back like, "Thanks, we will pass your message on to the traders." And then by the time I landed, they'd completely shut the market down. And when they reopened the market, they changed it to like $50 max bet, single bets only. Rinsed them.
That is so good.
Obviously, now you're no longer allowed to wager upon yourself.
No, you can't bet on yourself.
You're able to.
You can't bet on yourself. I was telling anyone who would listen...
We'll have to start a training partnership one day, Phars, so we can still tickle that itch, you know?
Yeah. Well, I still... I'm allowed to tell people what I think will happen in my fights. And I was telling anyone who would listen to me last fight, back me to win in the second or third round.
Yeah.
So it was paying 7-1 for me to win in the second or third round.
Yeah.
Unreal.
Yeah, it was a good day.
That was a great day.
It was a glorious day, and it shapes, boys, to be one of the all-time great weekends. Friday night, it's not a glamorous card, but there's a lot of juice there for punting, and just a beautiful entree to what is the greatest day on the Australian racing calendar each and every year. Australia's greatest race, the Cox Plate, Saturday, Moonee Valley. And I'm telling you, if you don't think it is or you're not sure it is, I know what I'm talking about, and I'm telling you it is. And most importantly, there's I don't know how many are left at what is the true Cox Plate at Moonee Valley, the way Moonee Valley is and has been. They're knocking the joint down, I think, and they're still rebuilding it, and the track will change.
Yep.
So you've only got a year or 2 or 3, I don't know, to get there and savour each and every moment. It's a small, but it's a juicy field. Good odds, good betting race this year's Cox Plate. Should we kick off and try and preview it off the bat, Phar, or what do we want to do, P-Rut? You tell me.
I reckon you do it, mate. Let's get straight into what should be one of the great races of the year. Currently, the odds, this is at 8 o'clock on a Thursday night. You've got number 1, Brightside at $8.50, 2, Prognosis, $3.30, Kovalika, $26, Royal Patronage, 34s, Docklands, 18s, Pride of Jenny, $4.60, Via Sistina, $4.50, Broadsiding, $6, and Evaporate, 20s. How do you see the 2040 across the valley playing to go? What does the speed map look like?
Well, I think importantly we start. Now, there's 8 races Friday night, rail true. At the moment, Saturday, rail true. 10 races. This is the 9th. So this track's seen a heap of traffic. They will have pumped water onto this track like out of a hose, irrigation, There's potentially lanes, but the favourite scenario is it's going to be on-pace suited at the start of Friday night. Where we're at come Saturday afternoon, I'm less certain, but I do think it's Moonee Valley, it's on-pace advantage is the favourite outcome. The leader's obvious, it's Pride of Jenny, Royal Patronage roll forward. I think Brightside probably lands Coffin. Docklands I found hard to map far, but I got him sort of behind Brightside. I think the map horse who can do whatever it wants with whoever it wants is Via Sistina. I think she'll be third pair, one off, which makes it tricky for Broadsiding and Evaporate. Kovalika and Prognosis make up the field.
Yeah, so I had a bet. I had a bet in the early markets on Prognosis when it was still 10-1. When it was sort of the rumours were flying that he was coming over, but it wasn't confirmed and it wasn't locked in yet. So that's kind of my anchor point for this race for the weekend. I actually
Sparring partner.
Yeah, good
Little
old Frosty. Damien Lane, he was suspended last week and obviously a good friend of mine, so we like to hang out. So he came around to the gym and did a bit of boxing with me. I'll tell you what, he is fit. He is
Really?
proper fit. So I was holding boxing pads for him and I'm working him. I'm like, let's go, picking it up, trying to get him to hit harder, hit more volume. And I just couldn't get him tired. So it got to the point where I said, hang on, wait here. So I had to go and put my gloves on and come back and actually spar with him to get some work through him because he was so fit. So he's in unreal shape.
He runs marathons, doesn't he?
Yeah, he's just rock solid fit. But anyway, I think Frosty had been doing some work. Julian Welsh, obviously down at Werribee, the barrier man, doing some barrier stuff with Prognosis, trying to get him a bit more comfortable in there and getting him ready to jump. I think the way I see this playing out is if Pride of Jenny's going to come across from her gate, we know she's going to do that. I don't know why there's any speculation that she's not. She'll come across from her gate and she'll go to the lead, and at that back thing, she's going to try and make the Legends Bar and the school, that's her winning post, and she's going to go for it from there. I think if they can get Prognosis to jump, they're going to make this a track gallop. They're going to make it a 2-horse track gallop and try and sit as close as they can sit, because we know the Japanese horses have a high cruising speed, which Prognosis is right in that mould. And then they're going to try and come around the bend with her and take over from there. So I'm pretty firm on Prognosis, but as usually happens in Cox Plates, a lot of the time exactly how you think it's going to run isn't how it gets run. And like you said, we're at race 19 of 20 over a 36-hour period, so it's going to be track could be doing anything by that stage.
Yeah, 17 of 18. But he's a fascinating horse, the Jap. He started 550, Praddy maybe look it up, but 450, 550 versus $1.90 Romantic Warrior, which is a really good SP reference for us because we know Romantic Warrior because it came in one last year. That race, he was as cold as out of the gates, and then down the side of a legitimate Group 1, he just took off. He started to make his move from the 1600, and he was punching the whole way to the line. It's unbelievable how tough this horse is. He's proper tough. Phars now got me scared about them trying to be more positive on it if it did jump, which makes me even less keen to bet into this race. I think if he's half slow, he's dust. Because what he needs, Broadsiding needs, is Pride of Jenny to race how she's never raced in the last 12 months, and that's to take a breather in the middle and allow these back markers to suck up a little bit. If she spreads them out, I think it's advantage your Brightsides and maybe Via Sistina if J-Mac, or if it's Broadsiding, whichever of one of those two gets close enough to it.
I can't see Kieran and Declan being all right with that, letting her slow up and sort of let him come back to her. If you look at, I know you're a stats man, Dicko, but the 7-day backup on horses, especially if horses win, the 7-day backup, it's profitable. It usually goes well. And if you're talking about a horse that's genuine as well and is always going to try, like we know Jenny will, I just don't see why they wouldn't ride her like this is absolute grand final, bust your guts type stuff. So it's...
I think that's to the detriment of every horse in this race that's like worse than midfield.
Yeah.
I hate the winkers going on Brightside. I don't know why they're changing anything. I don't think
he won
Royal
2
Patronage
Doncasters in the winkers, didn't he?
Sorry?
He won 2 Doncasters in the winkers, didn't he? That's
but it's kind of like a gear change. Like he's not going good enough. Like he's not on track. And I think he's going pretty well. I don't think they control how she's ridden. I think she does.
Yeah.
Like he went suicidal in the Queen Elizabeth. That wasn't his decision. That was the horse.
Just went.
I think the race is literally up to her. Like if she's on and backed up and travelled down to Melbourne from Sydney really well, her race. I think broadsiding isn't good enough if she runs up to her level. Same story, evaporate. But if she punctures, and she will puncture at like the 600 if she does, it's fucking on. You could see like a big sort of 4-5 Maccabi Diva style wide on the corner past the school, you know? It could be like just grouse stuff.
I'd love, if you could write a script on how you'd love to see the race run, it would be that she's in front at the 200, but they're coming hard, and can she just hold on? And there's 4 or 5 coming. You got the 3-year-old coming, the Jap coming, Brightside coming. That would be one for the ages.
Yeah,
wouldn't it?
I'm hoping that Brightside just like smokes up behind her, just grinding and saying like, Toots, if you fucking put your towel in for 2 strides, I'm going to get ya. Via Sistina is just building. Outside of Via's broadsiding, and the Japanese horse is like literally going past the Legends bar with broadsiding. It's just like on. That's what I dream of for this race.
Oh, that's the stuff dreams are made of. Like if you're watching Cox Plates going, I want to remember this forever.
I think that broadsiding faces a unique set of conditions here where it's just a tempo that he's never seen in his life. And, you know, there'll be people, and they might be right, that he's going to relish it. But I'd like to see him handle it before I fell into him. Via Sistina, Brightside do handle it. Prognosis is a legitimate horse with a quantifiable SP that we understand here in Australia through Romantic Warrior. I think at the prices, probably Via Sistina is the way to play the race and maybe save Pride of Jenny. But it's certainly not a race that I'm keen to tip anyone into on a Thursday night. I think it's really tough.
You know what I don't mind, Dicko? Look, I think having got Prognosis at the price that I got him at, and then I'll probably, I'll have a couple of bucks on Jenny just to cheer her home if she's in front at the 200. But you know what form I found fascinating was Docklands. The Eustaces, they don't do stuff for nothing. And they brought this horse over here. And that form, you talk about the Charin, how do you say it? That form from the Queen Anne, that is grouse form. That horse Charin has gone on to win a Group 1 in France, and then it won the Queen Elizabeth. It is proper form. And Docklands was, a length and a half off her in the Queen Anne. So that looks like it could be a set-up job to bring him over here and, try and knock off a Group 1 where he's not going to come up against the quality that he would in the mile plus races over in Europe.
Yeah, you can't knock it. And I think that the other thing that makes this race really tough from my point of view at the prices available is you're kind of I'm trying to get rid of Docklands, but it's got Barrow 1 and Black Shin. And then you're trying to get rid of broadsiding because of the map. The map's tricky, but it's Jamie Carr, fresh.
49.5 kilos too. It all adds up over that distance.
Yeah. I think it shapes to potentially be a vintage Cox Plate despite the small field. Tuesday mornings via Sistina Gallop just added to it. We know she's going to be fit enough now. And
you were there, Phar. What was the... did it just suck the air out of the joint?
Oh, as bad as... It was the same as when I did my arm in Sydney and I just ruined the event for everyone. It was the same sort of suck out of the air job as that. I walked into the valley that morning. I was absolutely strutting. I had a coffee in my hand. I had my binos around the neck to watch them come down past the school. Nah, they do the clocks on the scoreboard for you, so it was all right. And I walked in and I'm like, let's go. And we got one gallop. Who went off first? It was broadsiding and the maiden horse. Broadsiding worked up with a maiden that was huge, 3-year-old. I think it's in at Yarra Valley on Saturday. That could be a bet. I haven't actually done a look. Yeah.
Look at Praddy, one of the
Mate,
I've got him best in class for
these are the ones you got to fucking look at.
Listening and acting.
Yeah, I think it'll be short. It'll be short. You don't work up next to broadsiding on Breakfast with the Best and then get a nice long quote for the Godolphin in a maiden at Yarra Valley, do you? But yeah, and then I think it was the second or third gallop up, and she came around the corner and looked awesome up until that point, and then the bandage came off, and the rest of the day was just a shit show. Like. It was like there were horses on the track that, like, everyone was kind of looking sideways for the rest of the day. You know, when, something just ruins a schedule. Horses going when they shouldn't have gone, horses going early, horses going late. It just ended up a bit of a catastrophe.
I'm very happy with how you've come away from that with an angle too.
I go for
when
the
is
environment.
Yarra Valley? Imagine if it was Sunday race 2
Saturday.
and broadside. Imagine if it was Sunday though and broadside and won the Cox Plate, just eased down. It'd start at $1.03.
And this thing, I couldn't believe how big it was for a 3. Like, broadsiding's a little small kind of ball of muscle type.
He's compact.
He's compact.
He's not long.
He looks like he'll make a good stallion. Small, compact.
Yeah.
But the other thing was massive. It was huge.
Yeah.
And, I don't know, if you motor up next to broadsiding, I know he wasn't under hard ridden or anything, but that's a pretty good reference point for a maiden.
So I'll probably have Via Sistina from Pride of Jenny, Brightside, maybe broadsiding, but I'm petrified of the Japanese horse. Phars, you've taken a good spot on the Japanese horse, and...
I've taken a good spot on the Japanese horse, and I'm going to have a little, saver on Pride of Jenny and Docklands.
And the Crow family is on prognosis as well at $4. So pray it shortens and pisses in.
Do we know is the Cox Plate Whirlpool?
Yeah, it would be.
Would be, yep. Be the last 4 races.
Safe to assume.
Yep. If you're going to bet on anything that's not prognosis, then you just wait, wouldn't you? Because the Whirlpool will come for it, and you'll just get a better price.
Oh, we'll talk about it. Day. Will we talk about this on Monday's show?
You were talking about
this is not nearly as good as betting on yourself to bash someone and get paid both ways. We went, Pistol and I went to the Geelong Cup one day, and
we did talk about this.
Yeah, and we got hammered, and he was just like, he just can't stop betting, and he's from Perth, so he's backing horses when we're back at. We used to hire a house for Geelong Cup Day, and we'd be going at it now. It was yesterday, and we get home Thursday like fucked. And he's betting. He had this bet late in at Ascot into Lizgra's show.
Oh.
On a Wednesday night, and Lizgra's show was like 4:40 fixed.
Yeah.
And because he was cooked, he took it tote. And it started like 2:10 on the tote.
Oh no!
And it was like 2:90 on the tote. I reckon when we went down and did the mounting yard for the Cox Plate, it was just like a.
Do you think anything will come in the 24 hours of the Cox Plate? Will any of the horses shorten much?
I think what you said's really smart. That's what made me think of that story. That the international money will just pound this horse, I think.
Yeah.
I don't know. I think the smart money will back Via Sistina or broadsiding.
Can I just say?
There's normally a 3-year-old that gets like cleaned up a little bit.
I know. I'm not. Look, I don't have to say this out loud, but I'm not Chris Waller, right? And I'm not J-Mac. But Via Sistina, I shit you not, bolted for 3 laps of the Valley. Like proper bolted. Like the second 2 laps, the last 2 was galloping but wasn't going. But when J-Mac first came off, the first lap would have been a track record and then some. And then when they came out all onto the track trying to wave her down like this, she went again proper hard. Like
So basically what you're telling me and anyone who's already on Via Sistina is keep your chins up, put your chest back, put your shoulders back and your chest out, because we're basically on the quick back up here, and that's what we want.
Yeah, if that's what I think. It's just how you want to take it, because if you think
we're dropping back 3,200 to the Cox Plate on a 4-day quick back up. J-Mac on. No jockey, J-Mac on. That's a positive jockey switch.
You mean 6,400 back to the 20?
Oh, Uncle Chris, he'll find a way. What about how good was the track today?
Yeah, for a confidence run. I like that.
The confidence run was for Chris Waller, wasn't for the horse.
You know that,
left it at the beach, Uncle Chris.
That's the equivalent. Taking her back to the Valley today, that's the equivalent of if I'm going into a fight and my last sparring session on a Friday night, I just don't have a good night. I have an off night and I get touched up. They bring me back in on the Monday and put one of the amateur kids in with me and just go, hey, see how long you can go here for, just to get the confidence back up. That was what she did today.
Yeah. That is concerning, and it has turned me off having a proper whack in this race.
Yeah.
All right, that is the Cox Plate. We'll now head on the short and sharp captain's run. As we're 35 minutes in, we've done a few stories and the Cox Plate. We're now going to go to the McEwen Stakes, which is race 7. It's a Group 2. It's weight for age. It's 1,200 metres. Far. What do you like and why?
Look, if we go back to the Valley meeting, what was it, the week after my last fight, so we're in August, Extra 2's run in that race was just huge. Come from the back of the field. I remember we had a bet on it, me and my mates, and somebody said from the back of the room, got to be Chautauqua to win from there, and just straight up the middle. So that kind of just made me keen. You go J-Mac on, and it's 5 tries at the track in distance for 3 wins and a second. It's good Valley form. Stapati comes back. Don't know where the form's at around Stapati. Goes good at the Valley, but is it the same horse that it was as a 3-year-old? Probably not.
A mutual friend of mine reckons it might be going all right.
Ooh.
My thoughts, Extra 2, are she's going from benchmark 84s and Group 3s against her own sex to weight for age against like a Group 1 winner this prep and potential Group 1 winners at the end of this prep. And she's getting 2 kilos off them. J-Mac, barrier 1, tick, but it's not J-Mac on. J-Mac rode her at Caulfield. She was good, I thought, behind Aviatrix. She wasn't bad, but she wasn't outstanding. And she's been up forever. Her first run this prep was at the 23rd of March. So
you'd be turning me off her.
I respectfully, yeah, I think that I would have had I would have sort of not said too much if she had stayed 23 and I thought you're going to get 31 on Saturday.
Yeah.
But at $10,
yeah,
like she's got 2 kilos off Mornington Glory.
Yeah.
He's 4 from 5 at the track.
Yeah.
I can see that she's also going to get this cheeky suck run, isn't she?
She could.
I think she will. I think it's a really, really good race. The Inferno's a good horse with ability that's raced at the tippy top before. Oscar's Fortune's flying. Deserves to be favourite. Mornington Glory you can't knock. Drawn Well's going to get a good run. Stapati had heaps of ability. They keep racing him, so they must think they got him back. But the lesson there is always take the money.
What's that, sorry?
If you get a big offer from Hong Kong, you just say, thank you, thank you, thank you.
How much did they offer for him?
I think it was a fair bit.
Allegedly.
Talgabra scratch from Geelong to run here. Very brave behaviour from Julius Sandu. Cellular ID Moore, Brent Stanley. Don't know what they're doing. The 2 horses that fascinate me here. Barraquel covered the 1,200 metres fast. Same time, same night, same trip as Southport Tycoon Growing Empire. Very, very hard to beat.
It was impressive to the eye that night.
And to the clock was more impressive. I agree with you. But the horse I really want to back, I'm going to back Barraquel, but I think I'm unstoppable. The only chink with this horse is his map, but then you got King Kong, Mark Zara, steering. Fastest last everything of the day, first up at Warwick Farm, held up key stage. This horse started $6 in the Coolmore last year.
Yeah.
So that's where I'm sort of going at that proper form, the heavy form. Pray to God that Mark Zara gets it done. I'm unstoppable. I think if he doesn't, Barraquel's the horse. That's how I read that race.
Love it. Rightio, Dicko, should we now get around to you to tweak it to write in? Dicko is going to tell you why your horse can win on the weekend. None of this negative bullshit. You don't go to a mate and he goes, I don't think that can win. That's going to go back to last. And no. Why can it win? You're our
Probably
guest.
should have put a suit on, actually. I'm sorry I didn't. First night I haven't done it. And to be honest, if there's one man in racing that I respect the way he dresses, and I sort of think, we're kind of brothers in a way. He's on with us tonight, PharJack. The man knows how to dress and dress well. A bit of flair, not too much, just the right amount.
You got to have a little bit. You got to have a little bit of identity. A little bit of identity without going over the top.
Big 3-piece man, aren't you?
Yeah, big 3-piece. You got to have something just to change it up a bit.
I've never fought in the octagons. I've only got the 1 3-piece, so I've got to sort of rotate that through. I get it back when I can.
Go it
but
again.
If I go in the same 3-piece every week, people are going to start to wonder.
Yeah, for sure. All right, Dicko, talk to me. Moonee Valley, Friday night, race 7. Why can number 9 Hurricane win?
Big filthy steam early last start. A lot of cash. For a stable, that the cash means a lot. What happened that last time, though, was the big boy said, no, you're not ready. It was a violent step up in trip. Rode the speed, stuck on bravely. Loses Maloney, gets Jamie Mott. 750 in the Herbert Power. That's a very relevant SP to this race. Gets a nice run again, and you're getting a bigger price. Great bet.
I just got one. The missus has just yelled from the kitchen, and she just said, can you ask Dicko Francesco Guardi in the same race?
Frog to J-Mac. What else do you want? Not suited, back and buried in the Turnbull. It was decent late. It's 1 from 1, the track and trip.
Was that day it fucking pissed in at the Valley as well, didn't it?
And everyone's going, this thing will win the Melbourne Cup.
Yeah.
Yeah. She's happy with that. She's pretty keen. I think that was her tip.
Dicko, let's get on with you from our family now. So
Friday night or Saturday?
We're going to start Saturday at Doomben, if you can believe.
Stand by.
Pete Tapley has written in about a horse called Race 5, horse number 8, Aldeniri. Why can his horse win for him and the Dim Sim King?
Well, it can win because it's shown good ability previously, but inconsistently. What I'd be asking is, why are you running a horse relentlessly in Queensland and paying full-time rates from Uncle Chris? I mean, the apple would not fall that far from the tree, and T. Papley is astute with where his money goes and where it doesn't. I'd be looking at sort of a Matty Dunn if I'm going to base this horse in Queensland long term. Save yourself some money in the short term, and who knows, with a new lease of life, a new environment, the horse might get even better. But yeah, I just think if we're going to pay Sydney Rose Hill rates, we want to race in Sydney at Rose Hill and Randwick. I'll leave that with the Dim Sim King, CTW.
Love it, mate.
I'll go
Love it.
where the big boys won't.
And then, if you could, mate, please go to, this is for Wayne, go to Morfordville. Can you go to race 4, number 3, for Tony and Calvin McAvoy, Capulet?
Tony and Calvin cut their teeth. Well, Calvin didn't cut his teeth. I don't know if he's ever cut his teeth. Tony cut his teeth in South Australia. So when he sends one back home, he knows where it's going, what it's doing. He'd have people who look after the horse. It'd be like a home away from home for this horse. Third up, this horse, P-Rat, 360 last start. It won at Wangaratta. It beat a horse called Copperfield. It's got ability. The time was decent. It was the third fastest last 100 metres of the day last start at Wangaratta. So people are going to say to you, mate, it's coming from Wangaratta, you idiot. No. Third fastest last 100 metres of the day. Astute stable that know Adelaide like the back of their hand.
It was 4 and 5 wide the trip, that start as well.
Good.
which is another little tick, and it was the second fastest last 1,000 of the day. So,
And it goes Sarah Field to M. Nunes.
and M. Nunes is going at 20% strike rate
Look at him
Currently.
go, punters.
Yes.
The Rolls Royce, he's back.
of our last 100. So anyway,
Love that,
then let's
Paddy.
go to the good stuff, mate. Moonee Valley. We start with Friday night. We go back to the Gold Cup. I know we just touched on it, but Francesco Guardi, Gaffey wants to know why it can win.
Gaffey's one of the easiest, most simple jockey switches all time. Frog, J-Mac, not suited last start back and buried in the Turnbull. Buckaroo come through that race. He went all right. V16 is going to go very close in the Cox Plate. It's the right form reference for this sort of horse that wants to get this sort of trip.
And then we all have a little kip that night. We get up the next day. It's a Saturday. We start in the first, the 1,000-metre dash. Bear Squeeto wants to know why race number 1, horse number 6, Philosopher can get the job done.
Philosopher might be the best trialer in Victoria this weekend. 3 trials, absolutely flying. Held Hayasugi comfortably in the third trial. It's a track and trip horse. It's a map horse. It's an absolute gift, the price they're giving us.
Goes good fresh too.
Yeah. Just Colleen, jump, squeeze, travel, and hold on, babe.
Love it. Then we go to the 2040. It's not the Cox Plate. It's the Drummond Golf Vars. Race number 6. Horse number 4, Politely Done the X Trials, wants to know why it can win.
That's got the pedigree that says it's well and truly good enough out of a very, very good racehorse in Politeness by Dundee, who's just absolutely fucking airborne now. Danny O can get these horses and just place them nicely. He's looked after it. A soft but good win at Ballarat. Dodged the barrier trial that was the race at Caulfield last week. Really well placed. Got the services of Phars Man, D-Lane. Ticks a hell of a lot of boxes. Red Aces is the horse to beat in this race. The last time they met, Politely Done had a very, very short SP versus Red Aces. Big case for Politely Done.
Then we skip over to race 7. We've done a couple in this race. We're going to do more in the McEwen. Horse number 2. We've got Oscar's Fortune, and Isaac wants to know why it can win.
$5 last start versus Bellatrix Star. Mornington Glory was $6.50 that day. Stereo Life 51s. The Party was 21s. It was suited, but it was very, very good. And the mail from Pistol Pete out of the yard as this horse is building into a prep. So I think the value will suit this stage of prep. So it's almost ready. It's almost time to fire. He's short, but he deserves to be.
And then we touched on it before, but the Paul Pruska horse number 4, Stapati, Sam wants to know why it can win.
Sammy. I don't know if it can win, but what I will say to you is,
Christ,
if
come on, mate, positivity.
if you haven't already, make sure you got a Betfair account and just take Betfair SP, because this thing's going to drift. Because it wasn't suited first up. Fair play to you, but it was plain all the same. It's not going to be suited here. This is race 7. We've had 8 the night before. We've had 6 on Saturday. Very likely it's going to be on pace suited. You're not going to dig up. Prushka's not going to dig up. John Allen's not going to dig up a horse that's out of form and put it on the bunny. This thing's going to be ridden cold and he's going to hit the line. Now, if he comes back to what he once was, he can win. But the market will spit him out, so make sure you get the best price possible, and I'd wait till the very death to place your bet.
And then on to horse number 8, which is from Scotland and Pappy Charles, Barraquil. I know you've touched on it and I know you're keen. Why can it win?
1 from 1 track and trip, covered the 1200 the exact same time as Southport Tycoon. He beat War Machine last start when he won. War Machine went to Sydney and ran a really good race behind a Straka in $1 million race. He also kicked Barber's head in that night. Barber came out and won really well at Geelong on Wednesday. This horse is really talented and progressive.
And
Map's outstanding.
And then Nadal came out and franked the form again from the race before, the Moby Dick race down the straight from Flemington.
Correct. When Barraquil and Nadal, who are two of the more exciting horses at this sort of level going through the grades this spring, were punching themselves into a 40k headwind.
Yep. Then on to race 8, mate, the Crystal Mile over 1600. Let's start with horse number 6, Super Razi. Zach wants to know why it can win.
This horse is fucking airborne. Not suited, worse in midfield. Went really good again last start. Started $11 versus Jimmy Star. That's proper form. Jimmy Star, I'm surprised Jimmy's not in this race. If he did, he would start favourite. So your $11 SP is really, really relevant. The chink you got is the map, but you got to wait and see how this track's racing. I'd have half your stake on now and then half your stake on at the death because of your map. But he loves, like, Frost, the Valley Cambers. This horse doesn't win a lot of races at Moonee Valley because of his run style. He's back. But he savages the line Charlie Sheen style. He loves the Valley. This horse is flying.
Then on to horse number 10, Rumbled Again.
Flying. This horse is airborne, Praddy. But the chink is the map. It loses Blake Sheehan.
No chinks. Why can't it win?
No. You know how sometimes, like, before a footy game, or for far, like, before a fight, you got to...
What's going to
like
be
a game
my
of golf.
undoing?
You can't just play like with bumpers on. There's a few bunkers and shit. Then you get to the hole. You know, you got to sort of. Sometimes you just knock them down a little bit before you bring them right up. Now the chink you've got is your map. You lose Blake Sheehan, you get Mick D. It's drawn real nice. So if you ping the lids, all of a sudden, if you see, Praddy, let me finish. All of a sudden, that map chink is gone, dust. You've got the really good run here. Very, very, very good run last start, and very good prior behind Asilfina, which is good form.
Beautiful. Then on to horse number 11, which was scratched from last week, Plenty of Ammo.
Flying, Harry to Geordie Childs, $10 versus Brian, and $10 more importantly and very relevantly versus Royal Champion, who was fired into $3 that day. It was suited early in the run in the coffin, but it was half held up on straightening, and I think it was sort of in inferior ground. I adored what this horse did through the line and passed it.
How good was Brian then? You mean Bryn or Brian? Brian from
Bryn.
The Life of Brian?
Oh, that was sick. I was there watching it that day, and I backed Plenty of Ammo.
Yeah, I blacked out. I backed Plenty of Ammo, didn't I?
Yeah, we did, yeah.
Bryn just charged out of nowhere at 80 to 1.
Yep.
Oh, it's bigger than that, but I think it's 150s on the fair.
Yep, crazy. Anyway, on to Cox Plate, mate. Horse number 8. We're going to cover the 2-3-year-olds in this. Joel wants to know why Broadsiding can win.
$1.90 SP in the Caulfield Guineas. It would have been $1.70 if it was a fair track, which it wasn't. Not suited, back and buried, long looping run, very, very good. Loses J-Mac, but it cops Jamie Carr, and it's got absolutely no fucking weight here. I'd love to see one scratching to get a lot of lead in the pencil, but this horse is progressive. He's got big wraps on him. He's got great SPs in the right sort of races. He ticks a lot of boxes.
And then Optimus Crime and Matt want to know about Evaporate. How good at Twitter handles.
Yeah, good Twitter handle. Loses Mickey D, who has got him absolutely flying, but he was as good as Broadsiding was in the Caulfield Guineas. As good. He started $17 there. He wasn't suited. He was very, very strong through the line. So just off those SPs, you've got to respect him here, and I think he can run a better race again because he's drawn better than Broadsiding.
And then we've got 2 to cover off at Randwick, mate. We start at race 7, the Spring Championship Stakes. The blinkers go on to horse number 9 for Chad Schofield, Rag Queen. This is from Finlay.
Rag Queen, aptly named horse, weird named horse. David Payne trains. This horse gets the blinkers again. $31 last start versus El Costello. Don't let that fool you. It hit the line nicely, this horse. And if it's going to win a race with the blinkers on 4th up, it'll be on Saturday.
And then the last one for the night, mate, before we round out. Race 9, number 7, Yellow Brick. Max wants to know why it can win.
Tony and Madison Sears train. They're very good at it. Very, 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 very good at it. This horse has one of the great jockey switches all time. A Malian off, T Clark on. Well backed, 3 and 260 last start, beating Cranky Harry, and doing a pretty good job of it. Like, they can't come to Sydney much better than this. Comfortable 2.2 length win at Eagle Farm in a 160k race. 3rd up, jockey switch. Horse that puts itself close enough to the speed to overcome whatever bias we've got there in Sydney on Saturday. It's going to run a big, big race, Yellow Brick.
Love it, mate. Should we call it a night and wrap up episode 14 of the Captain's Run there?
I love how that was short and sharp.
Yeah, short and sharp. Far. Have you got any bets you're having across the weekend in the ponies?
So I've got I'll have a bet on Hurricane on Friday night. I will have a bet on Jenny, and I will probably have a bet now that I've spoken to you on Barracal, just because I liked its run up the valley last start.
Beauty. Couple of bets for you from me. Friday night, race 3, number 6, Y Marie. Mark Zara jumps back on, not suited last start. It'll lead. It's had a beautiful little tick over, and I think it'll be very, very hard to beat. And I really, really like Royal Champion in the Crystal Mile on Saturday. Have a phenomenal and outstanding weekend. Gamble responsibly. 1-800-858-858. Or visit the website. You do you. Have a great weekend. Be nice to everyone. God bless you. And thank you so much, Phar, for joining us on
Thanks, Phar.
episode, whatever it was, of the Captain's Run. Bye for now.